Welcome to my presentation about the trends in Argentina. And in Argentina, this time I mean the wine sector in Argentina. What's happening in the famous wine country Argentina, the 5th wine producer in the world, and what are the main things where people are aiming at this moment in the wine. The first thing I have to tell you is that wine is in the hearts of the Argentinians. Always been. It's one of the New World wine countries where in the home country they drink a lot of wine. Argentina are real wine drinkers. But even there, consumption is slowing down a little bit. And they drink maybe less alcohol in general and maybe sometimes more beer. So we have a campaign in Argentina. It's called Vino Argentino, Bebida Nacional, to promote wine. And it's also important when we look at the trends that we see. For that we are looking for higher quality in general and for more diversity in wine. So that's what I'm going to talk about today to get the picture complete. What are the trends? In general, we're looking for better places to place the grapes. We're looking for better terroir so we can make better wines. The other thing is, what I'm going to talk about, is the new winemakers. They have a different attitude to making wine. They want different styles, maybe fresher ones, maybe poolside kind of wines, not the heavy ones. So that's changing too. More female influence also. Importance of vintages. Not every year is the same. We know that from France or Burgundy, or Bordeaux or Italy, but also in Argentina. We see a bigger influence of the weather, of the season every year in the wines. And that's also important to notice in these times of change of climate. And where we're looking for is diversity. I think these are the main trends, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those more in detail. If we look at the statistics in Argentina, we see that the plantings, the number of grapes, the vines, the hectares of vines are changing. On red, we see a focus on Malbec. Of course, it's the reference grape of Argentina. For red wines, let's focus at the black grape varieties. What's happening over there? Now, we know Malbec. The Malbec is really leading and getting most of the attention. But we also see that a famous one from Argentina too, Bonarda, is also growing a little bit. We see attention for Cabernet Franc, which is a very interesting grape for Argentina. So there are a few growers, and we also see Syrah and other international grapes going up, and also Pinot Noir on the high altitude vineyards, because it does very well on cool places. And so we see a changing numbers of varieties that are adapted to the new terroirs. So these are the red wine trends. What we also see is that white has a slow decrease, and is focusing on the main varieties nowadays, and that's Torrontés, let's say the major own variety of Argentina, Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, while the old varieties like Pedro Ximénez, which is also a white one, but also the pink varieties are diminishing. They were used to make cheap domestic wines, but consumption of those wines is going down. We have to aim at quality. So things are changing. Red is going up. Whites are stabilizing, but more focusing on high quality grape varieties. And the pink varieties, which are very common in Argentina, are disappearing. They make the very cheap wines. So that's more the bulk wines. There's not such a market anymore for. That's the main difference that's changing nowadays. Okay. What else do we see? We see a change of varieties aiming at high quality, but then we need good places for those grapes to find places where they can reach that high quality level. So we see changes not only in the big regions where we find the vineyards in Argentina, but also in the sub-regions, and where altitude and soil make a difference. And Argentina winemakers are really, you could say, going in depth, but they really also go in the soil now to explore what can the soil do to get a better expression of the grape. I'll show you some examples and more details about this. If we look at the map of Argentina, which is behind me, in the north we see Salta. That's the big region delivering great wines, especially Torrontés is really great coming out of that place. And they experiment with vineyards at very high altitudes, even higher than 3,000 meters. And you can imagine that brings really special wines. I've been there, it's amazing. It's a stony landscape, high altitude. You should expect a very warm climate, but because you go up so high, it's still fresh and green. It's the greenest part of Argentina that I know. Really exciting place to make wines. Then we have the traditional place, you could say Cuyo, which is the center of Argentina. In the middle there, Mendoza and San Juan, they still make a lot of wine, but what's there happening is that they're looking at specific places, specific vineyards. For instance, in San Juan, Pedernal is getting really exciting. From Uco we already know it's got its place, but we find there different vineyards like San Pablo or Paraja Altamira. So it's really developing into places. Nowadays we even have vineyards at the Atlantic. That's strange. In the Buenos Aires area, we have vineyards and they're experimenting with grapes there. It's a cooler kind of place. It's a little bit more humid. So you will find grape varieties that do well there. Fresher grape varieties will do well. It's not a place for big Malbecs, but maybe for fresher styles, for white styles, maybe rosé wines. It's just an experiment, but it's going on quite well. And then in Patagonia, we have the famous regions over there, like Neuquén and Rio Negro. But also even more south in Chubut, the most southern place in Argentina, where they make wine, maybe the most southern place in the world, where they make fresher styles of Argentina wines. So we see that we make more use of the big wine regions, and in the regions we go for more details. That's what's happening. For instance, in Mendoza, maybe you remember in the old days, all wines came from the east, with a lot of production, high yields, but these were more or less, let's say, the standard wines, rich, alcoholic, full-bodied. Then the traditional place in Mendoza, the central Mendoza, where they delivered the classic good Malbec wines. That's the places where all the big wineries started. And then we went up to Valle de Uco to make more elegant wines. It all started with Catena, buying vineyards there at high altitude to make a difference. If we go deeper, you can even find, I will show you a picture of that, that you can go in Uco Valley in even different subzones. So in Valle de Uco, you can see we have La Consulta, we have Gualtayari, we have San Pablo, and all the wines within such an area are also different. And you can even get deeper. Then you look at the soils within one vineyard, where a place where there is more chalk or a place where there is less chalk, and you make two different wines. So even within one vineyard, you can make two styles of wine. So that's how deep it goes nowadays. We investigate the soil, we get to know more, and that's what's happening everywhere. Not only at this photo is from Zuccardi, but Catena is doing this in the Adriana vineyard. Chacana is doing this. Every producer is aware that they can deliver more quality when they analyze the soil. Even in a vineyard, in Argentina, Adriana vineyard, they investigate the bacteria in a soil. That can make a difference. And they made a Grand Cru kind of wine, and it's worth hundreds of euros, and it's a very special wine. So it's not only France with its Grand Crus, it's not only Burgundy with a Grand Cru. I think you can even create now Grand Crus from a very small vineyard in Argentina. Okay, enough about what we call terroir. Let's get back to the winemakers, the people. You have a new generation of winemakers, and I think the good thing about that is that makes wines different. They have different attitudes, modern styles of winemaking, like the Michelini brothers in Argentina, like Sebastian Zuccardi, but also, let's say, the more older winemakers are going in that direction to make wines that are fresher. They don't use a lot of wood or oak expression in the wines, but they use stainless steel or even cuvées from stone, like those eggs, to make a fresher style of wine. And they use other varieties and not too powerful wine, but go for more elegance. It's also the female touch, which I want to mention. Why? Females have a different attitude to wine. They also taste wines a little bit different. They're not going for the macho wines. They go for elegance in general and make different kind of wines. And what do we see now? A lot of winemakers, now even our female winemakers are responsible for making wine in big companies, in big, for famous wineries, like in Zuccardi, or like in Catena, or like in every big company, females get more important functions, and also they determine the style of the wine. My wife comes from Argentina, or friends work in the wine sector, and they get better positions, let's say, than a decade ago, because the female touch is appreciated in the wines and gives a new kind of style, which is important for the diversity of wines. They dare to make different styles. Fresher styles, strange combinations, maybe blends that you never heard about. I know a blend from Pinot Noir and Cabernet Franc, which is tasting really delightful. So they dare, they try. And I think that's the thing that we have to make. They make Chenin Blanc in Baie de Uco, they make Pinot Noir, there are even sweet Sauvignon Blancs coming out of Baie de Uco. Things are changing, and that's the thing that I really admire. Okay, so new winemakers, new grape varieties or different grape varieties that we use, different places, also new technology. I told you about the cuvées from stone, and also new wineries invest in new technology, and all that delivers more different styles. Then another big influence on the wines, and maybe we didn't talk about that much in the past, that's the vintage. And you know what a vintage is? It's the year of harvest. And the year of harvest can make a difference. Like we had a few years that were not so great, like 2017 and 2016 were a bit difficult. They were a little bit cold and rainy, so we get other styles of wine. In 2017 we had a very small and cool vintage. But let's say the last 3 years it's going well. 2018 was more or less a good year, a sunny year with good yields. So it was a really good year. It's called El Año Mendocino, so it was great for Mendoza. And in 2019, maybe it was one of the perfect years. It was not too warm, not too cold, high in quality and high in quantity, and fine quality. So 2019 can be an historic year from Argentina. Good to know. And a good thing, 2020 was a difficult year. Very difficult because it was very hot. The grapes were ripe very early. They had to pick the grapes 2 months earlier, but also everything in 2 months. And normally you have a big spread for the harvest. It was not possible because it was so warm and dry. And it delivered small quantities of wine, not too small, but quite small, but very good quality, and which you didn't expect from a hot, dry year, good acidity in the wines. So the winemakers expect that 2020 will be, in quality-wise, an interesting year too. So the harvest reports are quite going in the right direction for the last 3 years, but you see they make a difference every year. And in the past, that influence was less strong. Climate is changing and also getting more diverse, but the nice thing is that you can taste it back in the wines. Okay, so I want to conclude. A lot of things changing. I would say try to share that diversity of wine in Argentina. Try wines from the different regions. Salta, Patagonia, even from the Atlantic coast. Try wines from specific vineyards or from different soils in the same vineyard. Try nice blends, like this wine from Zuccardi is a blend, not only the famous Malbec, but also Cabernet Sauvignon, Ancholota and Caladoc. Grapes, maybe you never heard about, but they make those wines. Try them. Different varieties, also maybe for the sparkling wines. Different vintages, and they're also making wines in a more organic way or biodynamic way. They also are on the market. So try the diversity of Argentina. I think that's the major trend that we see in the last years. So Salud.